Hi, hello, and welcome to another episode of Miles Apart in the Common Room. Today we started talking about like religion. It seems like we talk about religion every other episode, and how we've made celebrities out of pastors and what we think the mode should be. And then after that, we started talking about masculinity, what it is to be a man, what we are getting wrong, and what men are getting wrong in this current age. So this is obviously a very interesting and diverse episode. So go ahead and watch it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Let's get into it.
It's such a privilege to talk to people that are not active on social media because I get to tell them all the gist that has been going on the internet. I met one of my friends yesterday, and I was telling her about the rapture, the promised rapture that did not happen.
They changed the date now. I said Jesus is not aware of the
I
calendar.
told her about the PDF, and she was like, "I can't believe you have the PDF." I'm like, "Of course I have the PDF. Like I live from
For someone
I
like
live from
this,
like this." And it's so wild how that this lady that said, "Oh, on this particular day, 24th of September, Jesus Christ would return." And Jesus Christ did, in fact, not return. I mean, as obvious as you can see on this podcast, he did not
And
return.
who told you Jesus has not returned? You just did not
He
make
has
it.
What is it?
You are just the leftover. You just did
You're all
not
left
make
behind.
it.
That's the thing. Unfortunately, if that happened, at the very least, we would have information like news. Unless
I mean, how would you have information?
you will see clothes around. Didn't you watch those
I mean,
movies?
that's the thing. You've watched too much Left Behind.
that's Hollywood. That's Hollywood representation.
Yeah,
Yes,
but think about it. Theoretically, if someone is driving and then they get, I mean, the Bible said it. Two women will be in the woods, and then one will be in the farm.
I'm not sure
What
that-
what if is their soul that is taken up and
Yeah,
they just
you
have a
might have
shell
been-
of a body, right? And the body is still doing something.
Okay, let's just go.
That's
Whether
scary.
it's the soul being taken off or the clothes being left behind, what at that point is that in fact this has not happened. Because said woman that still posted on Instagram a few days ago. Now
Maybe
I
she
don't
also
have a
did not
problem-
make it.
I don't have a problem with that. But I have the fact that the messaging that she's coming up with, I feel like it's unfair. If you've made a calculative guess that maybe not even calculative, because I mean obviously you said that, I think our Lord and Savior would return on the 23rd and 24th, and then the Lord and Savior has not returned. The least you can do is to come back and say, guys,
Is to own
I'm
up to it.
my beliefs. So I'm rethinking my way through this, and I'm going to be in touch when I have anything new. But
The
to
least.
come back and
It's like
come
I would
back
talk
and
to my
tell us
pastor.
Have you ever heard the term? Sorry, finish your sentence.
But to come back and now tell us that, the rapture was never about the date. Madam, you made it about the date. Like,
Trying to gaslight us.
yeah, we were never, nobody was, we were not talking about this. Everybody was having it. Like, when you sent an email to the entire KPMG Global and announcing the potential coming of our Lord with a date.
And attacking other religions. with the same breath.
Some of us already added the date to our calendar, by the way. Some of us already we added it to our calendar.
Just come up and say that.
You want me to cancel an event that I already added to my
messed up.
calendar?
And let's keep it moving. But you now saying
So-
it was never about the dates. When you made it about the dates, I feel like it's just an unfair way of thinking the truth, things. And
So-
it's also this about people not realizing that you can be wrong and you can come back and say I was wrong. Look at this last now, Samuel. Look at what has happened recently with the move of this particular church in Nigeria, who used to be very vehemently against television and stuff.
Yeah.
Now where, in fact, the only way you can every Sunday now they watch the pastor on television. Amazingly, by the way, there's no local pastor preaching. All of you have to watch the pastor on television. Yeah, that's what happened.
You remember that I was a member of the church?
I very much remember. Now,
Yes.
I think at that point there has to have been a podcast where you come and explain what went down. You need to.
Yeah.
What changed in
Some of
doctrine?
us had our childhood affected by the ideologies that you pushed at the time.
Yes.
Saying
Yes.
things like the devil's box. You need to come and define, because if you tell me that was because the content then was bad, you must be joking. Because the content on the devil's box right now is
It's
alarmingly
ridiculously bad.
Yes. What were you watching then? What was the height of the devil's box at the time? So I
Yeah,
don't
the
like,
ice we were watching was Legend of the Seeker, which like there was no nudity,
get
like
it.
nothing.
I
Like
don't like the idea of when you come, you make a proclamation based on what you think must have been maybe instruction from the Lord, and then if you realize in the recent times that maybe this is not it, it's possible that with the same energy with which you push the initial ideology, push your corrected
And push
ideology.
it. Yes. Yes.
Beam. So
Yes.
that
yeah.
all those people that raise their kids with that, and some of them maybe even in some way or the other abuse
They were
their children
traumatized.
based
Yeah.
on that ideology, can call their kid and say, I saw what this thing said. They may not do it because African parents are not into the idea of apologizing to their children, but at the very least, create a path for reconciliation. But to just raw dog everything back into now making it a thing. I saw recently again that before you could not visit, I think, your spouse during when you guys are in a courtship,
Dating. Yeah.
but they've now announced that you can now do that. And I'm like,
So what
who is
changed?
making these rules though? Like,
See,
how is
Yeah.
this is that was one of the fundamental
going to
things
find the
that
link?
broke me. That was one of the things that broke me about like a
Many
lot
Are you
of
sure
the
things.
that's
religious
are you sure
rules.
that's what I was gonna say?
I said that's one of the things. I said that's one of the
I
things.
agree with you. The
One of the
fundamentals.
things.
Go ahead.
It's how like churches would claim something. They would swear on their mama. They would swear on their papa. They would swear on their daddy.
Mm-hmm.
And daddy in this case is like their pastor. They will
Mm-hmm.
swear all of these things about how what they are saying is that they are led by the tenets of the scriptures. I
Mm-hmm.
remember very well, like this church I was talking about, in the background of the church, like on the altar, there was something said, earnestly contending for the faith that was handed over, like handed down, that scripture, right? That's
Yeah.
all. They just dot, earnestly contending for the faith that was dot, and then they put the
Mm-hmm.
Bible verse. So for them, it's like a lot of the things we are doing and practicing in this church. We're a Bible believing church. We practice what the scripture says. And then the church start evolving like iPhone updates. Every 2 years, there's an update to the Bible believing church tenets. They change things. They change how you can dress. They change how you cannot dress. They change what you can say. They change how you cannot say it. Like they now begin to adjust all these things. And you're like, if this church is on the fundamentals of the Bible, and I was trying to explain this to someone very vividly, we either have to accept that the Bible is written with a different cultural context in mind, which means you cannot copy and paste the cultural context of those times into the cultural context of these times, and accept that, right? And then just say that, oh, I believe in Kini, but then say you're a Bible believing church, and then you're trying to manipulate and color around the lines, and then trying to change things, and then everybody's making their different rules in their different church.
Yeah.
MFM, I'll say it because they stand by this. One time I went to an event, like a prayer, whatever, and everything. On the banner like this, there were inscriptions. They were like, banner, you cannot wear wig, and they'll put Bible verse to support it. You cannot have tattoos. They put Bible verse to support it. As a man, you cannot braid your hair. Put Bible verse to support it. As a man, you cannot use your ring. They put Bible verse to support it. There were so many things, right? You cannot wear trousers. They put Bible verse to support it, right? In all of those things. The MFM church that we have right now, is it like all of these things? I'm just like,
Yeah.
why?
I mean, I think what, which is always what is a way to get out of it, is like, oh, revelation is progressive.
Yeah, but
Like,
are you what I'm
I think your own point is that they should come and explain
yeah, like
that
I'm Samuel,
they have made a
I've been in
mistake.
church leadership before, and we get many things wrong. There's no problem. Mea culpa, like
Mhm.
you can get things wrong. You need to own up to the things that you've gotten wrong. It's as simple.
Yeah.
If as we're talking on this podcast right now, if we do say things that turn out to be very, very wrong in the future, and somebody is saying, "Oh, you guys need to own up to it," I'm going to own up to it. There's nothing to be.
They'll be like, yeah,
I'm
my
not
bad.
above
Yeah.
mistakes. You should be able
Yeah.
to say that. And at the time when I said wigs were not allowed and trousers were not allowed, it looked to me that was a foreign invasion from
Yeah.
the Western
Yeah.
world. And when I looked at the Bible with the context of that time, it didn't seem acceptable to me.
You
In
know
recent
why?
times, reviewing this, and I understand that it is not as it is.
Mhm.
We really should change our perspective on this thing. And there's
Yeah.
no, you shouldn't. You
Yeah,
need to know
why
that
that
I
would
think
not
we
work?
just eat and be like,
Do you know
like,
why
Yeah,
that?
like
You know why that would not work? Because a lot of these ministers, like I know that most like newer ministers do that, where they say something and then they come back. The one
don't want
person,
to-
the one person that I've seen do that, that is from that generation of ministers, like older
Mhm.
Sam Adeyemi, is one person
Oh,
that will come out and say that, hey, I did this, and you can tell the difference in his thinking
I
compared
think
to the other
Selma
ministers.
does that.
Same does that. Now, the reason why they all do this is because all these ministers that we are saying that do these things, they teach critical thinking in their messaging. They teach you to think. They teach you that you should use your brain to while you're thinking. These other ministers, their focus is on how to teach. They are cooking. They are cooking. They are cooking up spiritual narratives. They
I
are
think it's more
painting
like,
pictures into stuff, and
I
then
think it's
the
the way
moment
Sama
they
is more
change
like,
stuff, Right. The
Mhm.
moment one second, Israel. The moment they begin to say, "Oh, like I was wrong about this," a
Yeah.
lot of things will come crashing down for their church members because those church members trust them blindly. That's their entire base because it means that they can
Yeah.
come up tomorrow and say that your enemies is after you, and they will give you the map and geological location of your enemies, and the church members will believe it because their pastor has always never been wrong.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say, that they've purported themselves as the arbiter of the gospel of Christ, as the mouthpiece of God. Like, for example, if someone like Sermon, like if Sermon preaches, it's always like, oh, I'm just one of the people, listen. Like some of those people don't even allow you to listen to other ministers.
Oh, that makes sense.
Like
Yes.
it's the same thing that we were talking about, Michael. Like this particular church, another pastor can't preach on the Sunday. Like you all watch they project it on a slide, and everybody in every branch is trying to watch that. Like that's you saying like it's only this person that has the word of faith that they can preach. And if someone has elevated themselves to that point, people are seeing them as high and mighty, right? Which means
Yeah.
that it's going to be very hard for them. Like if people are already taking your word as all that God has said, right? You can't come and say that God has not said it again,
Yeah.
because you've painted yourself, your reputation is on that. So when you are now saying that is not the thing again, that means that you're painting yourself as not like your reputation is cut short.
Trying to get your
Don't
point.
even go too far. Think about prophecies. These pastors release prophecies every year, right? And then the
And
prophecies will
nothing
not happen.
happens,
And then
and then
let's say they come with
and
new
then they will
version.
dog it. Do you get? They will say, and they will start coming with explanation that it's the same that happened with this rapture girl. I mean, the explanation that was coming, that was expecting, was that God wanted more people to be saved, and that's why He gave more time. I've seen that excuse a lot of times. It's like
Multiple
God
times.
was actually going to like blow trumpet. Gabriel was going to blow
So
trumpet like this, and
God
God
is
was like,
just changing his mind here and there.
"Peace, peace, chill, my
Why is it
brother."
not Michael? Why is it Gabriel?
Michael is war now. Michael is war. It's like,
If you say
chill,
so.
my brother. Chill, my brother. Chill, my brother. Let's
I
wait
also
for more
think
people. Michael is
Samuel,
about to get saved again.
to
Let's
be
wait for
honest,
him.
I think a lot of these things are also very connected to pride. And
Oh
it's
yeah.
also the idea that
100%.
people don't want to be able to own up to the fact that, yeah, I make mistakes, as I'm your general advisor, but I make mistakes and I
I'm a
mess up.
man of God, but I'm still a man.
Yeah, and a lot of it is also linked to what we've always talked about, which is celebrity worship. I will continue to maintain it, that the idea of every Sunday 50,000 people listening to one person, I don't know how that is a fantastic idea. Like every Sunday,
I,
I'm,
I,
I'm
I
all for convention.
I don't think we see that kind of example in the scripture anyways. Like in the early church, like people were break, and then people might break that, oh, it's because there were not enough Christians and all of that. But I think like people were meeting in households. That was basically what it was happening. Like where Paul is gonna write and be like, oh, greet these people that are worshiping in this house,
And
even
let
though
me
they could have gone
shock
to a
you,
central
Israel.
place.
If you look at a lot of Orthodox churches, they maintain that. So you see, for example, I can talk about it obviously. Baptist churches they are so, you can say a very small Baptist church. People in that
Yeah.
area, that is the church they go to. The core tenet of what we believe in is baptism. That's it. You go to an Anglican church, you see a small Anglican church. I think what has
Yeah.
happened is that the moment, and again, these churches, Anglican churches, a lot of them came with the missionaries when they
Yeah.
came. But the moment our people started founding churches, they did not. I don't think they understood the concept that one man should not be at the center of it. Because
Yeah.
which man is at the center of Baptist churches and Anglican churches?
Exactly, yeah.
I don't even know
Because even
anybody.
the president of the convention is not really like
I don't know who
one
founded it.
church. One pastor in church will come and meet you and be like, because they have all these thing that they do where they discuss the Bible, and this
Yeah.
be like, so even if you have the convention pastor, a
Mhm.
deacon will come to you and be like, Reverend John, in son, what you said in church is not correct. Like
And
you
and
legit
that
do that
conversation
in
will be
church. Like,
had.
exactly. Like people who actually have those kind of things. Like somebody
Yeah.
will raise hand. I'll be like, my name is Deaconess something
Yeah.
something. I was
Yeah.
baptized by Reverend something in the distance. Yeah, you remember those? I'm like, Reverend, we know you said it, but that is not right. Let us open the Bible.
And you know why I
Oh,
like
I've
that?
seen that happen multiple times.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see that happen. But when
Yeah.
our people started founding churches, and with the generation of people that founded churches during that period, there was so much expansion, glory to Jah, that we saw that it started to
He
center
said
on
glory to
them.
Jah.
It started to center on them, and it's so sad
Yeah.
because I also don't get the idea why people people are fascinated by fame in a very scary way.
Yeah.
Why are you so particular about 50,000 people looking at you
Yeah.
recently?
Did
I
you
would
see
not
the
be fascinated
video?
by that.
You see the video of the minister of the church we're talking about that said maybe he's not gonna step down or something, but it's not gonna change. The same minister we're talking about initially?
I didn't even see the
Yeah, the
video.
one of the devil box.
Yeah.
And they're like, but you are old, like someone else needs to, and it was like, no, I didn't watch the video, but I saw the caption.
Also, and another thing, if I may add, is that there's a bit of Nigerianness to this thing, and it's also the way, if you look at it, if you look across board, you see that Nigeria generally, this is how we do things. Where when there's a position of power, people are not particular about the institution; they're particular about one. So look at it
Mm,
now. Look at a lot of these Christian organizations. A lot of their leaders are really quite old, and
Mhm.
you begin to wonder what is the plan for succession. Because
mm,
the way they've done it, a lot of the authority is held up on one person. People are
Yeah.
not going to some services to listen. They're
mm,
going to listen to this
Yeah.
person. They're going to
I mean,
listen to.
I would disagree with that about being a Nigerian this thing, because I think we actually learned this from the Pentecostal movement, which stemmed from the US, which stemmed from like the old capitalism, like everybody trying to own a particular segment. It's like all like a bunch of all these people learned, like they learned it from like Kenneth E. Hagin doing this. What's the name of this revivalist? This popular evangelist. Basically,
Billy Graham.
Benny.
Billy Graham. Basically, televangelism started in the
Oh
US.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
this whole thing of like having millions and millions and millions of people like going after you and just watching only you. Like it all started like when the
Right
television
about that.
came. Did you get? And then people were watching the television, and it's the same thing that happened now. Like we are just using
I personally
projectors.
think it would be amazing if we can approach the most decentralized version of church possible, where there is certain number of people attending a certain branch of church, and that is
Yeah,
it. And they are
yeah.
particular about the lives of those people in that particular branch, and they
Mm-hmm.
might be part of a bigger connection of
A
churches, which
bigger,
is
obviously there should be a bigger connection
can
of all these things.
go for
Like the,
conferences
yeah,
annually. They can go for
yeah.
all of those things, but they should not be. It should not be that everybody is
There
sick.
should not just be one person. Like there should not be
Yeah,
that one person. Like,
they should not
and I
be.
think it's the same thing. Like what we grew up with. Like me and Mike. I think Samuel grew up in like deeper life and all of that. What we grew up with is like
In
Baptist.
Baptist.
It's
Was
yes.
you
It's like
forgotten that I was a royal ambassador?
I mean, you have had multiple
You
lives.
forgotten that I was a royal ambassador?
You sound like you are like the
Apologies.
woman at the well, which is like you've had 7 husbands,
I-
and the current
see,
husband
I-
is not even the right husband.
Walked through the ranks. I was
Yeah.
in Baptist churches.
That I think that was really the thing, where like there was no central this thing. Like there was a pastor that preaches. There's a church council. Like although there were political thing there, but like there was a church council that elects the church. There are deacons that control it. Like there's nobody that is like a centralized power that is just like, and I think that is probably a better idea of church when nobody is elevated above the other person. Like obviously there's someone that preaches, but there's no, like Michael would say, like there's no celebrity status. Like I don't think you're supposed to have that celebrity status as a minister of God.
Yeah, I think generally the
And the
concept
church was still growing, like through all of these things. Like even
was
when
significantly.
we had all of this separation and all of that, like the church was still growing. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like
The church was growing. It was growing. There was even. I mean, I think at that particular time was even the peak of missionary work. Where I mean, in connection to colonization, of course, and everything. But right now, I feel like the church is growing also at a rapid rate because there's a reinvention of how Christianity is now being made cool, which is a good thing. No shade and everything. But if you look at the level in which people are obsessed about one person, it scares me. And the reason why it scares me is because obsession about a thing is never really a good idea. Even obsession about whatever you might be thinking, like the most healthy thing ever, the moment you're obsessed with it to the extreme, it's just really just scary. And you see,
obsession is a problem generally.
Recently, I'm going to send you guys. I hope I can find this tweet. So apparently, I don't know which country, but there's been a popular pastor who has been accused of sexual assault against, I think, a 22-year-old.
No, a 12-year-old.
12-year-old.
Yeah, the person is the States.
Comments, people are
He's in the
saying,
state now.
the devil is a liar, daddy. The devil is a liar. God, under the comments. I don't know if it's
I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked.
God forbid it that you shall be vindicated in Jesus' name.
I mean, he was sentenced to prison. Like, no, he walked up to, he turned himself over. Like he turned
Let me
himself
check.
over.
Let me
So it
check
was
that.
actually like he turned himself over. Like he was charged on like 22 counts of something. Like he actually agreed that he assaulted the girl when she
And
was
there's
12.
and some people are still.
Yeah.
It's I think this is why
Why are you
again
saying the devil is a liar? I don't understand that. Like, what you
because
and the reason why you're saying that is because you've put this man to a point where he's like, Kamari.
Yeah.
that's why I still stand by the idea that pastors should be active on Twitter so that they can keep getting dragged, so that we can see that they are humans. No, I'm serious because fundamentally, like it's like we want everyone to know that okay, this pastor can make mistake and they can come back to retract a statement. It's an humility that comes from being in the same space as everybody.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, ministers
I
don't have
agree.
that. We're talking about ministers that when they are going to church, when they are going to a place to preach, they come with police escorts. Have you ever seen that?
Do you get it? It's like, I mean, the fact that you've gotten to that point where you need a police escort, I think is a problem. Like, because you've elevated yourself to like celebrity pastor that's the problem. Like, when you're a celebrity pastor, like I think that's essentially a problem. Anyways,
Anybody
like,
that needs a police escort to move is no longer accessible. It's no longer readily
yeah, sure.
accessible. So
Yeah.
that fundamentally defeats what the idea of a pastor over a church should be.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the time, Samuel, you can effectively cop this thing. And I say cop because as someone who has been in a position of like religious power and
Your
I've had
power,
people
yeah.
you know when it's getting to the point where, damn, if I say this something, these people
Yeah.
listen. And you know how you can, for lack of a better word, weaponize it. You also know how you can, at this point,
Tone things down.
diffuse that power. So for
Yeah.
example, a lot of people are following me and they're like, oh my God, I want to be in Michael's so everybody wants to be in Michael's group. You know how you can at that point bring up somebody else and say, okay, let's lead this subgroup together so that we can
Yeah.
eventually in 2 weeks' time divide the subgroup into two. So some people go to that story and then nobody's thinking like, oh, I can't wait, I wish I was in Michael because no, everybody's enjoying near the same thing and
Yeah.
everything. You know how you can constantly divide and decentralize that power so that it is not centered on you.
Yeah.
It is not something that be like, oh my God, when did this happen? It's not a shock. You're
Yeah.
very conscious when it is happening. You can see when your numbers are growing. You can see when your audience
You
is
can
becoming.
see how people look at you. Like you can begin
Yes,
to sense
you
that.
cannot
Yeah.
dress like you. You can see how people that outfits
My
like
God,
you.
when is that speaking like you?
Yeah,
You,
that's
you,
yeah.
you can see
Lord,
it.
we
You can
pray
call it out.
today.
You can call it out. You can literally
That
say,
one
this is
was
not right. Stop
that
doing
was
this.
Yeah.
Or
so
even you can watch
disturbing.
how you also do things so that it is
Yeah.
not becoming like the way things should be done. You can bring up
Yeah,
whether
I think it's in the nature of people to make a god out of people, anyways.
And this is what I'll say: if you are watching this and you're already getting offended and you're thinking about coming and attacking your pastor or your church or whatever, that's actually a call to action for you. I'm serious. Like I'm just that's a call to action. It's basically saying what we are saying in essence is if you can't see when you are mirroring someone else other than Christ, that's a problem. You are trying to not sound like Christ. You're trying to sound like a pastor. You're trying to dress like him. You're trying to live up to the image of a pastor in your head. That is the problem, right? And I was actually going to segue into this earlier, and I want to talk about how. So again, you guys know that I've been to so many churches, right?
Yeah.
and see
What that has helped me do, one of the strengths I would say, or the blessings of it, is that it helped me see that not every message that comes from the pulpit is from God. And we know this theoretically, but a lot of the times we Jesus wash messages. So if we slap Jesus at the beginning and the end of the message, maybe in the middle too, and then we fill in the gap with our own messaging that makes it look like it is Jesus approved. For example, I've heard people say things like Jesus, Jesus, if you are poor, you are a sinner. Right, like there's literally a pastor recently that was saying that Babarala, like what did he do?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
he did not have money, and so like all of those
That
things.
even with us, his anointing is still
Yeah,
died
and
for.
this
It's
is
like,
the
it's that
response
for.
from CAC.
Of course,
yeah, I love that response. I first saw it on Facebook. They came with the Bible and taught the guy, like they were like taught the guy that like
I
they
actually
said
did not know.
the Bible told us not to reply to
Oh, you didn't
fools.
see the response
But
somewhere.
bro, it was
You
an
missed out on the
exhaustive
video.
teaching.
I saw it.
It was an exhaustive
I
teaching.
did
I
not know
loved
that
it.
CAC can teach like that. I'm sorry. I
And
know
that's
this.
the problem. I
I did
knew
not know.
like someone like the pastor that people
The
used to
version
like,
of
he
CAC
like
that I know is different.
grew up in CAC. Like he learned a lot of things in CAC. Like
Yes, now.
Michael's friend, like he learned a lot of
Yeah,
things in
and it's
CAC.
also like it's very good that first of all they did that, and second of all, there was now a video that was released showing Baba's descendants that
Yeah.
are alive and kicking, talking about yeah, talking about his
I saw the
legacy.
video too.
And the
Oh, I
reason
did
why
not
that
see that.
excites me is because the measurement of how good a church is or how well a church is performing is not really in how many people you can gather in a particular
Yeah,
scene.
it's.
It's
I don't
not.
think the Bible has ever taught that. Also, we should probably like move on to the next topic after this, but like and like try to round up. Like, I don't think the Bible has ever taught that the sign of a LD church is how rich you are, like, or how
Or
many,
how big you are
or how
actually.
big your sanctuary is. That
Yeah.
kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think that has
If
really been a
anything,
thing.
it was more about small pockets spread across multiple places. Like it's like, oh, the gospel grew, and then they would come together, and then
Yeah,
like even when the baptism was going to happen in that particular place, it was 120 people, right? Like it wasn't 1,000 plus or whatever. Like it's about that. It's about the grooming, not grooming. Grooming is not the right word. It's about the training and the nurturing of the people that are supposed to be in that space and keeping them in the sanctity of what the scripture should say. Everyone comes together, we learn together. And so it's like, but the point I was trying to make is basically we've got to recognize when some messaging we've got to be able to separate Jesus from human messaging. So they say things like, oh, Jesus would want this, Jesus would say this, or I do this in the name of God, I say this in the name of this, whatever, whatever. But it's like, are you though?
yeah,
In the name of
Right?
God, you work.
Are you like, is this, that's why the fact that you are claiming that this messaging is from God, is your message actually from God?
yeah,
Because that was the reason why, like, this past week I was very confused at a lot of the Nigerian ministers that were posting and talking, and they were using that, oh, this is God, this is Kenika, gospel prevails. And I'm like, it was never about the gospel. This was a political
yeah,
movement. It wasn't a gospel based movement. So it's like, but then it also made me think about the fact that, oh, it makes sense because this person professes to be a Christian, and so they assume that automatically that means that the messaging is Christian. And it's like, not really. I've heard ministers teach things like teach, for example, they'll teach hard work in the church or hard work at work, like at your workplace, and then they slap Jesus on it. No, you don't need Jesus to be a hard worker. You don't need Jesus to work hard.
yeah.
Like, there's no need for that, you
I
know.
mean,
But
Christ
anyway,
died just for your sins,
for
like
your
not
sins,
for
he
you to
didn't die
make
for you
money.
to make
No, he
money.
didn't
Like,
like die. Like there were rich people before Christ came. There were rich people during Christ's time. Christ did not die for you. Anyway, anyways, don't let us get into preaching.
I've been thinking about the model of when you think about landscape, political landscape of the world right now. A lot of these negative narratives are being pushed by men, right? On so many levels. Like if you think about the campaign that is up, anti-immigration campaign happening, for example, in the UK, the person at the forefront of it is the man, right? You think about like they're just like messaging around the world that are just negative, and I think one of the things I just keep asking myself is what's going wrong? Like, it doesn't seem like the people that are following are thinking for themselves. The people that are thinking for themselves, ironically enough, are women. Like, it's like I mean this with every form of,
Why is that ironic?
no, it's ironic in the sense of I don't, maybe ironic is not the word to use. It's more like men that are so desperate about being the head and being in charge and being stuff are not thinking, and the
Yeah.
ones that are like that are not necessarily desperate for that attention are doing the thinking, and they are seeing the gaps, and then the emotional intelligence is down. And I think all I'm just trying to say is that it seems like being a man is, it's becoming very, it's correlating with being like violent, and I'm sorry, being stupid sometimes, because there's no depth to an average man that you would see, especially when it comes to this conversation. Like, I remember one time in the heat of all of this political argument, I was talking to this guy, and he was basically copying and pasting talking points from social media. And I had the same conversation with like women, and you are forced to think in a different way. And it's like, are men losing the ability to think for themselves? have men ever had the ability to think for themselves? Because I mean, I think about political leaders, I think about all the people that I've seen growing up. Usually, men are the ones that are following instructions. Women are the ones standing up against them.
There are two things that come to mind. I think the first thing is that when you've been in the position of power for so long, where decisions have been made in your favor consecutively for centuries, you don't tend to be good with making good decisions that favor other people because you've just been having a good time. So, men, for example, have been having a field day for a very long time when it comes to decisions being made in their favor. I mean, if you understand what I mean, because there's a lot of rooms where decisions have been made, and for centuries they were made up of men making decisions about everybody. So automatically, those decisions favor men. So it's very easy that over time, when you're thinking of making decisions, you're thinking of making decisions that favor you, as, like outside of other people. And oftentimes, when it favors a man, it probably will favor another man. A lot of things that we benefit from, like benefiting from, for example, people say the benefits of patriarchy. And then with things that you found, you just were lucky to be born into it, and you're just like, yeah, let's just have a good time and everything. I think there is that. And I think the second thing is also the fact that there are not enough like good role models for men. I don't think there are. And when I say role models, I'm talking about people who are not religious leaders. That's not what this is about. I'm not talking about a pastor. I'm not talking about a pastor. I'm talking about just someone who is doing okay and people can look up to them as a guy. I think a lot of, maybe many role models that men have, some of them are entertainers, musicians, artists, all of these kind of people. Some of them are footballers and everything. I don't know if those people make for good role models. When you look at a number of things, like, are men obsessed with footballers? Yeah. They're obsessed with, are they obsessed with entertainers? Yeah. Do these people make for good role models? I don't think so. I think it's very hard to make for a good role model. That's now say. If the career path, and this may be wrong, but if the career path that you've chosen is something where there's something we were saying earlier about how that when you want to become the president of your country, it might be good to have done some internship with some previous positions, right? Because they build some kind of character in you. Do you understand? Now, there are some career paths that before you can get to the peak of it, you have to have gone through some character development. Entertainment is not like that. You can you can you can glow in 2 weeks. It doesn't mean you've not been singing. It just means that there was no step by step growth. You can be shot into the limelight, boom, and you're just there like that. It's very difficult for you to make for good role models if you've not had to go through a lot of character development in the process of getting to the peak of your career. So when people start looking up to you, they're looking up to someone who is at the peak of their career, so to speak, but they've not gone through a lot of process that would help them to say, okay, what do you think about this topic? You are not smart enough to say, well, this is not a topic I know a lot about to talk about. But you have a lot of followers. So you're like, yeah, I think this. Your followers latch on it. So I would say maybe there's not so many role models when it comes to men. And then there's the other part of the fact that consistently over the centuries, decisions have been made to favor you. So as long as favor you, look like that's the right decision. And I mean, we're no longer in that kind of world now, facing out that kind of world. And that's why you're seeing this kind of gaps. Yeah, that's what I would think. I think we've talked about this before. There was a
Wait,
thread. I think Israel was the one that
I
shared
think
it.
one thing that I would say is that, I mean, I wouldn't say I agree entirely with all the premise and all of that that Samuel laid down, but I think I will approach this more. And also, I'll probably not say that that's probably what caused it, what Michael said. I'll probably say that, like, from the Industrial Revolution, I like to try to bring that, like, power, like, men have always, the way they succeeded in the economy was to use their physical strength, right? Like, the jobs there were like physical strength. So they did not necessarily have to, like, do a lot of things with, like, their brain per se, you would say that, right? And I think with the rise of feminism, like, more women were going, like, women started going to school. If you even check the data now in the US, like, we have more women getting a degree, and men still are still stuck in that, all of that, like, oh, I still need to use my muscle to like do things and all of that. And I think having an education, I mean, we've talked about this thing being contributing to one of the problems that we have in Nigeria. Like in some sense, it can help build your sense of critical thinking, right? Like, and the fact that like women, the way they've had to like show themselves is not by physical labor and all of that. It's by their mental prowess, which has probably led to having to think more, right? Or having to use that part more because that's the way they could set themselves apart. I think we are seeing more of that gap now where it's like a lot of jobs now don't require that you use your muscle. Like they don't require that you have power or that you do all of that. Like it requires that you use your mental power, which is why you see women coming up ahead in schools, coming up ahead in classes, and all of that. So I think that might have contributed to a bunch of things. And I think we've probably talked about this before, the fact that I think nowadays, based on all of this, like men don't also know what to do with themselves, right? Like, because it used to be like, oh, you're the head of the family, you make money, and then it's just like, it's my way or the highway, stuff like that. But right now, women are making the same amount or even more than what you're making, which means that you're like, what can I do? And you just have to go to an extreme point that is trying to give you back power. Like, I think that's why you see a lot of people supporting like some of this policy about like women should stay at home, like, because that's basically what people are preaching now. Like women should go back to like a woman's place is in the kitchen, like in the 21st century. That's what people are preaching. Like, oh, we need conservative values back, like that kind of. And part of conservative values, like women shouldn't be holding leadership position. And I think because a lot of men, because they don't know what to do with themselves, like they've lost a sense of purpose and a sense of like what they have to do with themselves. And I was watching this thing where it's like, where one of the, I can't remember the person, like I think they even wrote a book about that, like me that, like, I think they were saying that, which is also probably brought down to what Michael says, like, we need to redefine what it is to be a man. Like we need to redefine what it is to be a man, that it's not about you being like the boss of a family or like you like being the breadwinner or doing all of that. Like you need to find something else. And I think we are in that transitionary period where people are trying to like find something to give themselves purpose, I would say. And it just seems like that extreme political thing is what they think is the solution now. So I think that's probably what I think about that anyways.
I don't know. I think I remember that you said this thing before about people not knowing what to do with themselves and looking for a purpose. And maybe I'm an outlier, but I still don't get the whole idea. Like, can you just have a good time? Like, why are you looking for what to do? Like, can you not? Like, I don't understand this old thing about looking for what to do with yourself. Get your job, make your money, and live your life. Why do you have to do something? I don't know.
I mean, I think there are so many layers to this thing, like what you said. Like, for example, why can't you just live your life? Why can't you just like live life and then move on? But a lot of these people, a lot of these men, a lot of men, including myself, for example, was taught that the value of my masculinity is in how much I bring to the table, how much I have.
Exactly.
Women,
Yeah, exactly.
women would
Like,
not.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. That has always been defined as like which is probably why a lot of people also go to celebrities, because it's like celebrities get ladies. Like it's been over the years that the value that you have as a man is in like how many ladies you can get, the size of your car.
Yeah.
I mean, like probably for us, like we don't really fancy a bunch of those things. Do you get like, which is probably why it's not evident. I think that has been the thing, that the value of like what makes you a man. It's like, oh, like what makes you a man is like, oh, you're making more money. If you are working like masculine, like, and that's what people like Andrew Tate preaching, like, oh, I can get all the girls. That's what makes me a man. I drive the latest Ferrari, the latest Lamborghini. And when women are now making more than you, and they don't like educated women are not flocking after like their sexual revolution, where it's like if they really want to sleep with you, it's because they want to sleep with you. It's not necessarily because like you are a
you're
man. It's not
better.
like you are
Yeah.
the man of the man. Like they just want to. They also just want to have a good time. Do you get like? And I
Mm-hmm.
think that has just made men to be like. So what is my usefulness in life? Like
Yeah.
if that is not what makes me a man again, and I think is and the point which is what this person is saying is that now we need to say that what makes you a man is not because you can bag a girl, right? Or because you're making more money, right? Yeah, and I think it's that conversation that then brings the fact that Michael is saying that we need more, which is why I said like we are in that transitionary period where we need more people to say that what makes you a man is not all of these things. It's like, yeah.
It's
I agree with that. And just a very short point, Samuel. I think I now see why. No, I think I now see it in some other things because now that I'm thinking about it, a lot of people were actually they were brought up this way. I wasn't brought up this way, or maybe I was and I just rebelled against it. So I don't really
Well,
think in this way. But I
I mean,
now
you
see
probably
that even
rebelled. That's the
in
thing.
even in the music that we listen to, the male singers they flaunt the number of girls they have, they flaunt how much money they have, and even in their music videos, it's all flaunting
Yeah.
women and everything. And so it's like to them, the definition of success is in how many women are you crying around, and maybe because I've not read it clearly to say definition of success, how many women you have. I thought it was not there. But now when you just look at the media alone, from the music, the
yes.
songs, to the music videos, to everything, you can see that. And I don't think this is the same thing for music videos by women. I don't think a woman would sing a
Oh,
song
it's
and then to
actually the
show that
same.
she, yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
it's
so I
the
don't
same.
no.
If you
Let me
listen
let,
to,
let me tell you
yeah,
what I mean. Let me tell you what I mean. I don't think it's the same in the sense that if a woman is successful as a music artist, what does she do? Does she put 10 men in the house in the window? 10 men in the video.
it's not about the
Well,
number of men that she can get.
I
Yeah,
don't
that's
think
what I'm
no.
saying.
So
Like it's not
oh, I see. I
the
see.
same thing in that way.
There is the
There might
fact that
be
there's the story of the fact that having sexual appeal in music video
Yes,
sells.
that's it.
So both
That's
men
it.
and women, they know that
That's
if you
it.
put a woman's butt in a music video, that is obviously going to get you
So the
more views. But I
the
think the
men,
way you should probably think about it
I
more.
don't want to talk about the result. I'm not talking about results financially. I'm talking about the result like societally, which is that maybe
Yeah,
why they are doing it is because it gives them money. But the results like to the society is that men
yeah.
are now saying that, yeah, look at what this guy is doing. He just released his first music video. Did you see that video? Babes money for there. And
And I
yeah,
think the way you should think about this more is like growing up secondary school. The people that you would say are like the guy, like are the people that like you when you think about them, like if you think about the guy are like people that are
they are
like
girls.
get the girls, like they talk to people anyhow. They are just like they just talk to girls
yeah, I
anyhow.
guess they talk to the finest girls
Like
I
when you
know.
think about that, like when you think about when you say this guy is a guy, like the guy, like you have an
The
image in
guy,
your mind, like, and that kind of image is like somebody that has money, that is like that has some level of like
Dark West,
baba for the girls. You know
Dark
that question.
West.
You think about those things, right? So I think
Not to
now
mention the
that
dark quest. So
now
what?
that women, I mean, there are still some people on see that like there are still some women that are still like looking for men to take care of them. But now like we've come to that era where it's like you can actually work by yourself and make your money and you don't have to depend on a man. Men are like, so if I go to a bar, what I'm going to show off is not like that I have a Mercedes outside. It's like
The
something else. And a lot of men have not grown up to learn some of those
Yes,
skills.
I think it's like men are coming. I don't think that men have learned that. Let me rephrase it this way. I think that men are finding out that what they were taught would be effective is no longer effective, but they don't know
Yeah,
what is effective, or they are not equipped to
exactly.
what
And
is effective.
they are frustrated.
So it's like, for example, a man is taught when you go, your money, your career, your material possession is your
Don't do like
flex,
you
right?
want her too much. Do like you
Yeah,
have many people,
blah
many
blah blah
other
blah blah
people.
blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Yes, but this woman, by the time you come to her, right? If she's a pretty woman by every standard, there's a very high chance that you're not the wealthiest guy she's met, you're not the finest guy she's met, you're not the most awesome guy she's met. She's met a bunch of them. So how do you stand out, right? And a thing about it is that regardless of what situation or what stage a man is, there's always a man higher than him. So when we were in college, for example, the men that were people that were getting the girls, our sets, were our seniors. When we became seniors, it was our people, our classmates that were the quest members that were getting the girls. And
I
then when
can't
you go,
remember the
like,
people that were
there's
the quest
always
members, but you need to remind
I
me
remember them.
after this
I
call.
remember them.
Yeah.
I would be dropping names, but there were a bunch of them like that, right? Bunch of them like that. And so it's like at every point. So now when men now get into these positions, unfortunately, women have moved on, right? And the skills that women are now looking for, men are not trained or equipped to be able to show that empathy, right?
You've not
Being
learnt it.
kind. They've not learned it. They were not equipped with that life skill to say, okay, outside of my money, as a human, what am I? Right. And even for some of the men that are very like emotional intelligent or are trained, I like to think that I'm a little bit emotional intelligent, right? When I got to the point where
Kudos
shut
to
up,
you.
when I got to the point where, for example, my finances were threatened, my identity as a man was threatened too. Because I didn't think
Really?
I was sufficient. Yes, I put in the work to try to make sure that I'm able to articulate my emotions, or whatever, all of those things, right? But when I got to the crux of it, where I lost my income, I did not feel like a man. I could not make some decisions or say some things. I could not act, and that's for someone that is consciously trying to be better, right? Imagine people that just didn't think about it, and it's getting worse. The economy is dying, jobs is slowing, work is no longer.
I think it's even that, like, even if you check jobs that are making more money now, right? There are jobs that women can also do, right? And like, same men are still like working construction job. Like, they don't make as much money as someone that is a nurse or something, right? Or someone that is a doctor, because women become doctors and a lot of women are going into all of that, right? And it just, because more like summarily the jobs that are high earning intellectual jobs and not like manual labor jobs, right? Which means that even economically, women are tending to rise. And like, when they say you are the man of the house, you're thinking you bring money to the house. Like, if they say, oh, when you have a wife, like, you are the man of the house, like, how you maintain your manhood is by having more money than by the. I mean, like, a lot of people like feel threatened if you're in a relationship and then your partner is like making more money. Like, men will feel threatened that, oh, now I'm not the man of the house again because now my thing has been cut off because someone else is making more money
Would
than
you
I do.
feel threatened,
I would
Israel,
not.
if you were in a relationship and
I
your
would
baby is
not.
earning more than you?
I would
Have you
not.
ever been in a
Have you
relationship
ever
where no,
been
no,
in a
I'll come to
relationship?
you, Samuel.
Yes.
I'll come
No,
to a
no, no.
relationship
I'm just asking.
where you were the person you were dating had more money than you. I think you have.
I think I have. So
I
there's also this thing.
remember.
There's also this thing where it's like people, because I'm not a fan of cars. The people that I've dated have had cars, but like some men will like try to be like, oh, now I need to get. It's like, bro, I'm not pressured, guy. I went out the car.
And have a
And
good
I
time.
mean, like, I think there's like, I don't think it's men's fault, which is also one thing that I was going to say. I don't think it's men's fault. I think it's like a societal fault. I think it's the way the society, and I think this was also one thing that the person, like, this thing that I was watching, which is like, I think when we had the problem of the fact that women are getting left behind, the society came together and they were like, wait, we need to make sure that women are getting educated. Like, laws were made, like, things were made to do some of these things. But I think now men are getting left behind, right? And I think the problem that has now happened, which I think I agree with, is like, now we are blaming the men. Like, you're blaming the kid that is growing up, that is like 11 years old, that is like 12 years old, that is trying to find his place in life. You're blaming him for him not being, because he
It
doesn't
reminds
know
me
what
of.
it is to be that.
It reminds me of
Like, the society has
adolescence.
made it say that, like, you have to be a certain, and it's like, this is not what is working. And like, so it's not really his fault that, I mean, obviously, like, there are people that you can blame, but I think, like I said, like, when women weren't going to school, when you're saying like, it's because the women did not want to go to school, it's because we didn't want to do, I think, like, people came together and they were like, we need to get this shit in. Like, we need to get this shit in order. Yeah.
I understand what you're saying. At the point where, like, at the height of gender equality in things like education and career, even though a lot of people that started to speak up for it were women, at a particular point it became a societal thing with laws
Yeah.
being made to even the playing ground. And what you're saying now is that when it comes to things like critical thinking and emotional like
Intelligence,
maturity
yeah.
and empathy
Yeah.
and everything that men obviously lack, and there needs to be a reorientation of young boys. It's being
Yeah.
left to the man and not the society. Well, I mean, maybe as a way of ending,
I
when
mean, I
Samuel
mean,
is
I mean,
done, I would like
what
us
will
to.
probably solidify this. I know Michael has seen the show, Adolescence.
That was
So
it. That can we talk
I would,
about that next week? Maybe because we can't. I don't think we can talk
Oh
about
yeah,
adolescence
I think
yeah,
we
now.
can pick it up next week. Yeah, yeah.
I think we should
I'll
all
watch
maybe
it
if you've
this
not
week.
watched it,
I'll
I
watch it
think we
this
should
week.
watch Adolescence. It's just 4 episodes. We
Yeah.
can then talk about Adolescence next week. And I agree
Before
with you, Israel. It's really scary because the boys like this don't have a clue what they are doing,
and
Yeah.
and
so
it's the role
I
models causing it. So, yeah,
I have a
Israel. Sorry.
I have an objection, right?
All
I
Please
right,
go
think
ahead.
object away.
I think that I agree in the like to like it's 80% what you're saying, right? What however think is that the problem the platforms that are pushing the problems that men are facing right now are owned by men that do not subscribe to the ideas that you're talking about, right? So for example, in this world, in this day and age, why should we have an AI that is role playing, right, as girlfriend when we, in the middle of this whole thing, XAI released a product about an anime that is a not anime that is acting as a virtual girlfriend, right? These
Mm-hmm.
are platforms that push all of these weird triggering takes. They are owned by men. The algorithm AI is being built and developed largely by men, and you can see it in the prejudice that it's even exhibiting in itself. So I'm saying like the present technologies that we have, places where these men flock, right? The platform does not incentivize giving these helpful comments, right?
Yeah,
There's a reason why people like Andrew Tate were trending. There's a reason why people like what's the name of that freaking I will call him an idiot. Actually, he has this
Nigerian guy.
podcast. No, I think it's everything loud, everything or something. I don't know. They have this everything in black and white in the background, and they bring OnlyFans girls or like young girls
Oh,
there,
Really? I don't
and they
know.
will talk.
what.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know who you.
those
Really?
guys are not
Okay, go ahead. Go
not
ahead.
smart. I'll
Yeah.
send you a video. Not smart. But anyway,
Please do.
there was a video of him
Oh,
that I saw online that I saw it and I just eased. I was like, you're an old man acting like this.
do you know
But
what I'm saying? I agree. Like that's a fact. Like, but I'm saying that us blaming the young kids that are coming up, that all they have is those guys, and society is not saying like we have a male epidemic, like epidemic where men, like young boys, they are getting fed those things where the only people that these people bring is OnlyFans girls, and they are not. Society is not saying we need to teach kids how to talk to women, and you don't talk to women, you don't talk to anybody like that. Like
I
you
don't
don't.
think I don't think that we are blaming the young men though. I don't think so. I think that there are a lot of things that have happened that are directly and indirectly not connected. So, for
Yeah,
example, there was a time when you used to have that brother in the streets that everybody respects, right? That
yeah,
elder brother that is nobody's elder brother, but it's everybody's elder brother in the streets, right? Now, with the increasing rate of pedophilia and sex offenders, women no longer trust, like men, parents no longer trust their kids to be around men, right?
hmm,
So we are lacking from a fundamental place, from a young perspective. We are losing the ability for younger men to be mentored by men from around that are not their parents, right? And
yeah.
so by even though we're not blaming these men, like these young kids, we are blaming the ones that have grown outside of the bubble of being fed what to think, that are not thinking for themselves. So we're not saying that the young kids that are in kindergarten, we are seeing the impact on them. We are saying, hey, something is going
I
wrong
mean,
here. But we are
I
seeing
don't
that it's
understand what
the
you mean by
older,
not thinking for themselves, but I think we can talk.
in the sense of these guys are like, there's a point where whatever you are taught growing up, there's a point where you have to get responsible for your thought patterns after that, right? And I don't think that a lot of men are doing the job of unlearning what they've grown up with.
I mean, what if they learn and they still stick to that? So I wouldn't say they've not thought for themselves. Like you can still pick a side and still
I
like.
literally watched a video of a guy responding to the video of a mom training her young kids, like maybe those kids are like 8 or 9. And this
Mhm.
guy held up to a camera. This guy is probably in the 25, 26, saying that boys are born conservative.
No,
No,
I'm
Samuel,
saying
you're
that
not
that
getting
doesn't
what
mean
Israel is
that.
saying.
I'm
Israel is
not
saying
saying that
that he
that's
has thought
yeah.
for himself, and has decided that
And
this
has
is the
picked
path,
that
this is
side.
the hill I want to die
Yeah.
on. What Israel is also saying, I get what Israel is saying, and I think it's more than just even young kids. I would say that the moment you're an adult, you're responsible for your decisions, whether it was part of your upbringing or not. But I would also be careful. Let's look at it this way: when you look at it from the female side, there are things that we're actively teaching women to unlearn when it comes to like how they raise themselves in their marriage, living toxic relationships, and we're teaching them to unlearn it, even though that was what they were brought up to do.
And they are still adults.
And they're still adults, and we're still constantly teaching them to unlearn it. And while we are
Okay, I
trying to
see what
teach
you're
them,
saying.
we are going to be very like disciplined. But there are some times when we're also going to be like, this person has really been indoctrinated into this thing for them to think that they can't leave this their toxic husband.
So
And we will still
patience.
be,
So we are not blaming them for that
yeah, but at
wrong
the same time,
upbringing.
we're
I see
not
what you're
hugging
saying.
them
But at
I
the
and
same
see
running
time,
what
they are
you're
their
still
head.
saying.
responsible for it.
I see what
Yeah,
you're saying. So we are
it's a very
we're
thin
pointing
line to tread.
fingers. Yeah, we're pointing
So
fingers a lot to these men without the empathy that comes with helping them through that thought
Exactly.
process.
Yeah,
yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
it
And
might
gotcha.
I'm
not
saying
even
that
be.
the society has to come together and be like,
Yeah,
this
I
is a
think that's
problem.
what the concern is. I think the concern is that there's not enough information countering the argument of the toxic masculinity. There's just not enough, or maybe there is enough, but it's
Yeah.
just not being promoted. And the reason why I say this is because, let's be honest, if you're going to have a good will or a good mission, your money has to flow in the direction. I think
Yeah.
when Israel and I started talking about African ink, like promoting African literature, at the point I think you were paying for some tool like Israel. I don't know, maybe a subscription.
Yeah.
And your
I
money
was
had to
saying,
go
yeah.
into that direction. You can be lamenting every time saying people are not reading African literature, people are not promoting. But my guy, like if you're going to change something, you're not just going to put words on Twitter or on Instagram. You're going to promote it with your money, knowing that you may not get any return back, but because you're passionate about it. Because guess what? The other information about toxic masculinity is going out
It's
so
going, yeah.
fast without any need to promote
And
anything.
and
So yeah,
I think you would have to remember that even up till now, there are still women on Twitter that are saying, like women, adult that are saying the place of a woman is in the kitchen. Like
yeah,
adult women that are still saying that.
Oh yeah, I've
yeah.
read that.
But
Yeah.
when you look at it, you're like, I wish this person knew better. Like you're not like, oh, you are. Do you get?
Oh, I
It's
see
like a
what you're saying.
balance of
I
like,
see what you're
guys,
saying.
When you see that kind of woman, you see her as a consequence of the patriarchy, not as a
do you get
consequence of our own decision to
of
be
our
a
own
fool.
decisions?
Do you
Do
get
you
it?
get?
So,
But
and
my question would then be: is it that are we unconsciously putting men on the pedestals that men have always wanted to be put on? So, for example, we hear things like tough love. There are even jokes online about how like the motivation that plays for a man is different from the motivation that plays for a woman. Like a man is like, get up this morning, go work,
Mhm.
don't be a pussy, right? And then the woman is like, I am a living
I
bread
know
of
the
fresh
video you're
air.
talking
I
about.
am, and then,
I've shared that
and,
video like
right?
500 times. I love it so much.
And then it's like all of these like very affirming words. While on the other end, for
Yeah.
men, it's like get up and work, get up and work, get up and work. Would that be the same approach we are going towards this, where we think that women deserve empathy and men deserve strong and dead,
I think the
firm
reason why,
comments?
somewhere, I think the reason why it's dicey to empathize is because, like, there's something about, I don't know how to explain it. Let me say there are two kinds of victims. There are victims that,
Mhm.
while they are the victims, they are also the villain. Do you
They are
get it?
perpetrator. They're also
They are
perpetrating the
also,
thing.
yeah, they are both the prey and the predator at the same time. And then there's
Yeah.
just the prey. That's the
Mhm.
unfortunate part. So there are some people, for in most cases with women, they are just the prey. They are just the. But with men, you're both the prey and the predator. So it's like
Yeah,
it's very difficult
yeah, yeah,
for me to. I want if I see a man on Twitter making some negative comments, the kind of trend I'm going to write is going to be harsher and more disciplined. Because
yeah,
Yeah.
if I see a woman, I'm writing from a place of disappointment and pity.
Yeah.
yeah.
If I see a man,
And I think that's the point. To
yeah, I'm
have
writing from a place of
empathy,
disappointment
even
and
yeah.
yeah, but like
But finish,
Yeah.
Michael.
I agree to having empathy, but I'm also conscious of the fact that you are also the predator because,
Yeah.
like, contrary to what we're saying, this other look at the adolescents, for example. We have to talk about the adolescents next week, but Israel, look at the fact
Yeah,
that
I have to
the
go
person
watch it.
is a young boy, but at the same time, he's also the murderer.
It is
So,
also it's also the person
so
doing this
what am I
shit.
doing? Because you're also a murderer. You've killed someone.
Yeah.
You're a criminal. You deserve what criminals deserve. But at the same
Yeah.
time, you're so young. I know that this has to
Yeah.
be indoctrination. So
Yeah.
it's
But
balancing those
imagine that they did
things.
not catch the guy until he became an adult. Like, it's still a problem of the issue that has been growing up. Do you
Yeah,
get what I
but they're
mean?
not
Like,
going to be that lenient because at that point they are thinking
exactly.
you're 25, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah, Jesse, you
exactly.
should be thinking
Yeah.
now. But we have
But
to
I think
pick this
we
up.
can flog more about this later. I think
Yeah,
this is a good
next week.
place to
This
point.
is a
Yeah.
whole chapter, like it's a whole
I
series
also think,
of posts.
yeah, we should definitely talk about this next week when we talk about adolescence, the TV series. If you've not watched it, you can watch it. I think we can also, while we're thinking about, because guys, we've been thinking about bringing guests to the podcast, like male guests particularly, but I'm also thinking we might even, I mean, this is just a conversation, we might even bring on female guests because what we're trying to do is to have conversations about things that affect both men and women and see
Mhm.
what we're not seeing. There are so many things that men just don't know about because it's just not your reality growing up. And you can discuss it theoretically as much as you want to, but sometimes it's just best to bring a female person on the podcast and ask them direct questions and see what their responses are going to be like. And we're probably going to be doing more of that, but we definitely talk about adolescence next week. And if you watch it, you should definitely watch.
Thank you very much for staying to the end of this episode. And we hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to drop a like. Also, drop a comment if there's anything you would want us to discuss. Or you have just drop a comment and follow us on Instagram and TikTok. We post shorts about some of the things that we've discussed. But like, thank you very much and see you in the next video.